Oh, hi guys, it's Howard again, and today we're having a look at my Petri Color 35 camera. They appeared in 1968, probably inspired by the tiny Rolly 35, which since about 1966 had this pocket segment all to itself. Rather than copy the Rolly, Petri came out with an entirely different and ergonomically superior design. You could even put the flash on top of the camera, unlike the Rolly, which had the flash shoe at the bottom. Very good for lighting underneath the chin of your subject. At about half the Rolly's price, it was a really attractive little package. Not all Petri cameras were well made, but the early ones, including this one, were very well made. Even the later ones seem to have a reputation for good glass. Although fractionally bigger than the Rolly 35, the differences are minimal. The Petri measures 10 centimetres wide by 6.8 centimetres high by 5 centimetres deep when the lens is retracted. Weighing in at about 396 grams, including battery, it is about 30 grams heavier than the Rolly, but very light when compared with 35mm cameras of that era. I'll be honest, I haven't put a film through mine, but I've read reviews of those who have. Some say the lens is really excellent, while others say it's just okay. It could come down to sample variance, who knows, but consensus appears to be that the Rolly lens is superior, as you would probably expect. Unlike the Rolly, the Petri Color 35 was only made for a couple of years and was followed by lesser models based on a similar size format. Okay, let's have a closer look at it. So at the moment the lens is retracted, and when it's fully retracted it'll let you fit a lens cap on, but that's about it. To extend the lens, there's a wheel on the back here, this wheel here, and you simply, I'll do it that way so you can see it better, you simply wind the lens out as far as it'll go. And that takes you to effectively your closest distance of about 1 metre, and then from that point on to focus you start going in slowly, but obviously not all the way. Now when the lens is all the way out, it exposes this ribbed band here, and that's your ISO selector. So as you can see, it goes from 25 ASA, it's also got a DIN scale in orange, all the way around to 800 ASA. So it's got a pretty good range. It's click stopped, so you simply select the ISO you want. Let's leave it on, say, 100 ASA for the purpose of the exercise. On the front we've got the words Petri Color 35, all in black, and a post for the flash. The lens is a color corrected Petri f2 40mm lens. It's made by the Petri company. It's got the CDS cell in the middle up the top, so any filters added are automatically compensated for. Now I've told you about the size, but a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I'm going to put this over here and we'll compare it with a typical 35mm rangefinder of that era. And you can see the difference. This is my Hymatic 9. It's a fairly typical for rangefinders of that era, and as you can see, in comparison, the Petri is tiny. It's amazing that they were able to fit a full 35 frame camera inside such a small space at that era. Okay, we'll put them in ultra away. Okay, so back to this. Now, I'll just talk about the viewfinder for a minute. As we know, the little wheel focuses the lens by moving it in and out. Now, in the viewfinder, which is quite small but quite easy to see, even with glasses, there's a bright frame around showing your image with some little parallax correction marks up the top corners. And across the bottom, there's quite a wide strip. So it goes from close to distance. So it's got feet and meters, from a metre right through to infinity, and the same with feet. But it's also got pictorials. So, for instance, in a meter, you've got basically a top half of a person, metre and a half or 2 metres is a group of people, and infinity is mountains. So you can see in the viewfinder exactly where it is, and as a needle goes from right to left as you to indicate the level of focus you're on. On the right hand side there's a circle, and that's to do with the exposure system, so we'll have a look at that now. So the viewfinder is nice and bright, and it's pretty good. You can keep it to your eye and focus and everything very well. On the top here we've got the speeds, so we go from B, a 15th, through to a 250th. Click stops all the way, so you can leave it, say, on 1/25th for general purposes. Down the bottom here we've got the apertures. It goes from 2.8 to 22, and there's no click stops there. So once you've selected the speed, you can simply move the aperture around while looking in the viewfinder to match the needle up across the middle of the circle. So as I said, there's a circle on the right hand side, there's a needle that moves up and down, so fairly typical. To check the battery, you put this around onto B, you move this onto F22, and you press the little button here. Okay, now if the needle goes up to the middle of the circle or above the circle, you know your battery's fine. Now, talking about batteries, these cameras were built in the era of the Mercury 1.35 volt batteries, and that's what they were supposed to have. But myself and others have tried a 1.5 alkaline, and the readings seem to be fine. So whether there's a bridging circuit built into them, I'm not too sure, but anyhow, it would appear that the 1.5 volt cheapy alkalines are all you really need to do the job. You've got a nice short, it must be cocked. Yep, I'll take it off B. Yep, so you've got a nice short throw lever with a good lip on it to easily grab it. You've got a standard cable release thread there. Now over on this side we've got a rather nice little rewind lever, so it just flips up out of the recess, and it's got nice mechanical advantage there. It's a very nice little unit, so it's sprung to just sit back in the recess, as you can see. It's got a hot shoe, so if you've got a flash of that era with a standard hot shoe, you can use that. Otherwise, if you've got a flash that requires a cable, you've got the post on the front. So that's all covered. Now, one of the reasons these were considered so ergonomically good was the fact that you can, with it to your eye, you can move, because these both protrude past the edge of the camera. So it's very easy to move them with one finger and while watching the meter in the window. So it's they were ergonomically very cleverly thought out. A lot of people who aren't fans of Petri can't believe that Petri came up with this good a design. Some of them are still a bit puzzled about that, but nevertheless, even the Petri haters say that this is a very cleverly designed little camera. All right, let's take the bottom off and see what's happening there. So there's a little tab here. Lift it up, rotate it anti-clockwise, and the whole back slides off. So we've got the battery container there. It's the smaller size battery. So the little 1.5 volt batteries are fine. Now, in the back here, there's a spring there, and so this is effectively the pressure plate. So to load the film, you have to lift the pressure plate back. Plenty of room to slip the cassette in, pull the film across. There's plenty of slots to slot it into, and pull it down a bit to grab it. Make sure it's on the gear train at the bottom there. shut the pressure plate, relocate the back, put it on, shut it, close it, and you're in business. Okay, so it's very simple to load. There's nothing tricky about it there. We've got the film counter here, which resets automatically to the start, and a single carry lug for a little wrist strap, and that's about it. So 1968 was a very good year. Petri Color 35, lovely compact little camera, beautifully built, and from what I've told, are capable of either excellent or pretty good photos. So that's it, Color 35 by Petri. Well, that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe, and ring the bell to get further notifications. It costs you nothing, and it's always nice for me to get a bit of positive feedback. And any comments you want to leave or any questions you have, just leave them below. Anyhow, thanks again, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.